Lee, how are you? I didn't have any big funny jokes to lay on top. This morning's been kind of crazy to tell you the truth. Today is Wednesday, November 9th, 10 a.m., and I'm so glad to be here with you. I have some things to share with you. I want to let people get on for a little bit. I appreciate you guys being here. John thought he had a doctor's appointment today, but it's next week. So whenever he's not here, I'm kind of like afraid something's going to go wrong. Help me, John. Okay, let me get some. There we go. Aloha. You know, my best friend, I got, sorry, Robin, who is one of my best friends, is in Hawaii right now. So I'm a little gel. Let's bring on some of that pineapple, okay? I got a really interesting letter from Paula. No, I'm sorry, from Barbara. Okay, on these lives, I want you to understand I'm telling you what I do, what I use, etc. And that's one of the things that makes this sport kind of interesting because everybody does have an opinion, right? I mean, I'll do it this way, you'll do it that way, etc. Somebody asked Monday, I believe it was Monday, what kind of chair do I recommend? Because hers broke or whatever. And I said, I want a swivel chair that goes up and down with no arms. So Barbara wrote me a letter and first of all, it was super respectful, but I thought, geez, I got to bring this up. Why she likes arms on it. And part of it is being able to get up, to use your arms to get up. I know what that's about. But also, she cited that one of her friends ended up on the floor because it slid out from under her. So, points all well taken. You have to look at your physical body, the setup that you're on, and then make your decision from there. And in fact, when I was saying, oh gosh, maybe 6 months ago, I was talking about this, maybe even more than that. And I have a hard surface on the floor here now. And they said, be careful. It's really easy for that chair to take off and then your bum ends up on the floor. So, Barbara, thank you for bringing that up because I thought, boy, those are points really well taken. So now I'm going to push back or pull back and say, this is what I use, okay? This is what I use. All right, so I got from Susan her baskets that she's working on, and she did not buy the cave kit. She had plenty of cave on her own. I do believe she got the polka dots from us, and I do believe we have those in stock. But this is just beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. So congratulations. And I believe that Susan said she's more of an art quilter, and this kind of just struck her as something she wanted to delve into. And it's interesting because I do think that there are times, we put ourselves in our own little bowling lane, and it's fun to go bowl in somebody else's lane. And sometimes by doing that, you bring something else into your quilting tool belt. Okay, then Melissa sent this. She calls it the beast. And I couldn't blow it up anymore because that's just the resolution I have. But she is 103 by 103. I believe it's also a ton of cave stuff. But I think the thing that really, Melissa, thank you so much in your letter, is that you said that TQS has offered you the confidence to be able to go forward with things that maybe you would not have felt that secure doing before. And I thank you for that, Melissa, because I know for myself, TQS has given me the confidence to do things that I might not ordinarily that would be out of my bowling lane. Let's just say that I want to bowl the whole alley. I want to do the whole darn bowling store. I don't want to be stuck in one lane. So if you are in a lane, try stepping out and going to another lane just for grins and giggles. So I met, today we're going to meet with Paula Nadelstern. I have known Paula for quite a long time, and we've had some adventures together, as we mentioned you'll see in the video. She's going to share a new quilt of hers that nobody has seen. We're getting a sneak premiere from Paula Nadelstern. One of the things, many things that Paula has done for me is that, remember when the red and white exhibit happened in New York at the Armory? Remember that? It was open to the public, it was free, and it was this woman's 70th birthday, somebody with a ton of money, okay, in New York. And she wanted to say thank you to the city for how she's been able to do so well in the city. So I think she had a quilt collection of about 1,400 quilts, of which half of them were red and white. And she rented the Armory in New York, hung an architectural firm, hung, paid an architectural firm to hang the quilts. And it was extraordinary. My schedule at that point was so stupid crazy. Paula called and she said, they want you to be a speaker. And I'm like, Paula, I can't do it. I can't possibly do one more thing. And she stuck with it, and I went, and it was extraordinary. And what happened was the word spread in New York City. And so, yeah, the quilters were there in the beginning, but by the weekend, you had business people that knew nothing about quilting show up to this event. In fact, one really cute thing is Julie Scribner, who worked with P&B Fabrics and me. And in fact, it turned out we are the girls of Hillcrest Court. She's just 5 years younger than me. She was watching all this folderol online about this fantastic exhibit, and she said, I'm going, that's it. So she decided on Wednesday to go. I think she got there, or Thursday, she got there um, 2 days later. It took her 24 hours to get there. So I mean, she was just complete toast. And she was like, but it was so worth it. So Paula, thank you for twisting my arm in that, but also I want to thank you for our dear friendship and for letting us see your new quilt. Let's take a look see. Paula Nadelstern, how are you today?
I'm great, Alex. I'm seeing you. What a pleasure.
You know, everybody, we go back way, way far. And every time we get together, it's like super fun.
I know one talks, the other talks. It's like really, really fast. It's over 20 years, over maybe
I'm
30.
going to say 30 years,
I
30.
think so. Yeah.
But
So we've
anyways,
had some adventures.
you got some really cool things coming up. And also in the course of all of this, we're going to see your newest quilt that you've put together, which I love.
Well, thank you. And I haven't shown it. It's premiering next week, so this is pretty exciting. It was a 1 year project, and I'll tell you a little about it when we see the picture.
Okay. So my question for you, if you were on an airplane and you were to describe, okay, they know you're a quilter and they understand who quilters are. How would you describe your work? And I do have some images we'll show everybody.
All right. Well, that's a tough one. I When I'm on the airplane, I try not to talk to people so much anymore on the, left and right because I don't want to explain to them that no, I don't want to fix your grandma's quilt, which is one of the questions we always get asked. But and if I show them the image on my phone or my website, so I call myself in that case a quilt artist.
Mhm.
Um, and then I say my pieces have been in museums, and I've exhibited all over the world, and I teach all over the world, and I've written books, that sort of thing. But
That wakes them up. That wakes them up.
yeah, or makes them completely bored, so they want to go back and they can't fit that into any category of anything they've known before. But it works.
So I just grabbed some images off your website, and of course I'll tell everybody at the end what it is so they can go look. But I think that these first couple kind of are you. So let's take a look at this one. To me, that is Paula Nadelstern. It screams her all over it.
Well, it honors me that you've picked a quilt that's actually from quite a while ago, because this is from 1998. I don't know
What?
where it is. Yes, it is. I don't know where it is on my it's on the scale. It's probably about the 12th or the 13th. It was a big jumping point for me because it was one of the first times I took the kaleidoscopes and pushed them off the side and whacked them off, and I was ready to not just have kaleidoscopes, be boom, 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 like laid out in a traditional quilt. But I think you're going to be showing later that I now have a calendar for 2023, and this is one of the quilts in it, probably one of the summer quilts. It's actually based on a trip we took to Mexico, to Cancun, when I was just watching that water and
Oh,
just loving it. And so, yes, I'm not always a blue person, but I know that these fabulous blues are something that really attracts people. That quilt um, uh, was selected as a possible quilt on the list of the 100 best quilts of the century, but it actually did not get picked.
oh, but wait, this one
Wait,
did.
there's more. Yes, this was the quilt called More is More, which is something I say all the time when it comes to fabric. More is more. And this quilt is on the list of the 100 best quilts of the century. I always say that when you work in a series, the questions you ask yourself get more complex, but the answers get simpler.
Re-
And both of these quilts show that idea that, you get an idea, a what if question, and when you're working in a series, you get to play it out. And so in this case, I was playing with the off-centered kaleidoscope and pushing it off. And this quilt is now in the exhibit what's in the collection of the American Folk Art Museum in New York City, where I had an exhibit, and it is sometimes often shown in their gallery called Self-Taught Geniuses, because I hate to say that expression, but it sounds pretty amazing. But yeah, I never took a quilt class. I taught myself everything that I know, and thinking
So,
to myself that I was doing it the wrong way. And starting in 1969, started making quilts.
okay, so why kaleidoscopes? Because really that is your signature, though it's not what you're doing now, though your fabric lends itself to that, and we'll
To
be talking
me,
about that. But why kaleidoscopes? What's the
and
fascination?
I think the quilts now are still, I'm still using the techniques of a kaleidoscope, but yeah, that shape is not foremost in my inspiration. That it was all a piece of fabric. I saw this beautiful piece of Liberty of London fabric in 1986. I before that was making quilts, but traditional quilts. Although I always used too many colors, I thought eventually I'll be a real quilter and make a blue and white quilt with three colors, three fabrics. But I just always had to use as many fabrics as I could possibly get my hands on. And I found this beautiful piece of Ianthe fabric, red Ianthe, a William Morris print, and it was too expensive for me to buy more than a quarter yard of fabric. And I walked in and out of the store for like an hour or two thinking, oh, if I only, if I could only spend more money, but I should buy. So I bought a quarters before we invented the fat quarter, the reason I bought it is because I could see that fabric had what I intuitively understood as bilateral symmetry, is the idea that there was an implied line down the middle, and whatever happened to the left mirror images to the right. And it was only 5 colors, using the silk screens of the block prints from the late 1800s. And still to this day, it's an exquisite fabric. It cost $16 a yard then, $34 a yard now. And I was thinking, oh, could I spend $4 on a
No, but
yard of it?
that's the truth.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
And I always joke about, I always say since then, like, buy that piece of fabric no matter how expensive it is, because you never know where it's going to take you. That started my career, my teaching, my, everything was buying that piece of fabric. So I did not know about actual kaleidoscopes at the time. I'd never seen a state of the art kaleidoscopes. I didn't play with kaleidoscopes as a little kid. I'm not even sure how I understood the geometry, of that it needed to be a 45-degree angle or any of that. I don't know. I don't remember any of that.
Are you a math person? I mean,
I
what's your
so am
degree in, okay? What's your degree in?
Okay, I'm actually an occupational therapist with a master's in psych. I worked with severely handicapped kids I was the first occupational therapist hired by the New York City Department of Education, and worked in a school for multiple handicapped kids. And I am so not a mathematician. I mean, it's someone called me an engineer the other day. It's so funny. I can't fix my sewing machine if something happens. I can't change a light bulb. I'm so not I'm just spatially, it's to me it's all about spatial relations,
Okay.
and also understanding that a kaleidoscope functions like a circle, and a circle has 360 degrees in it, and I divide 360. And also working in a series, you take those two things together, and the fact that in a series you're just always, it makes you ask what if questions. Well,
Yeah.
what if I make it 22 and a half degrees? What if they're not all the exact same? So what if, and then you have time for it. And also not caring how long it takes to make a quilt. My quilts can be 2 years. They can be,
So
whatever.
this image I grabbed when we were setting up everybody. I always run through the slides so that the guest can see what it is. And I said, "Boy, this is a precursor of what you're doing now." And she said, "Right on, baby, you got it."
No, I'm so impressed that you realize that. It really just shows your skill and intuition. Yeah, this is a quilt. So we've gone now from 98 that year. Now this is about in the. I've just finished the 45th, and this is about the 43rd quilt in the series. It's called the Prague Spanish Synagogue Ceiling. When I was teaching in Germany and went to Prague on a trip, looked up at this ceiling. Oh my God, it was just pattern bumping against pattern, bumping against pattern, and that's what fascinates me now. Is just colliding patterns. I am a patternista. I mean, I just love playing with pattern, and that's So I'm combining. You saw there was a kaleidoscope in the middle. There was something else. They're still playing with the symmetry, still playing, but
Is it
but
all
really
your fabric line, pretty much?
that so from about kaleidoscopic 40 or 35, it's all, I basically use my own fabric. Not that I wouldn't use other
Yeah,
fabric.
yeah, yeah.
I'll mix, I'll mingle. I'm not a snob about it, but I do like my fabric. And that's going, fabric that I designed 25, 30 years ago is what I have. So,
Okay, this is what called tree grate or great trees. This is one of
no, it's a tree
I
grate.
love this quilt.
Well, thank you. This is this quilt is based on walking on 53rd Street in New York City. 7th Avenue. I've passed it so many times. Look down, and there is an iron tree grate that saves the tree. As as a million pedestrians walk over it in New York City. And the idea here is that, to me, it's an homage to the ironmonger, because if you look up close at all those different circles, now first of all, I don't piece in circles. These are all straight lines. I never taught myself how to piece circles, so those are
What?
all straight lines. Yeah, that's all straight line piecing. Anyway, um, and it's still a kaleidoscope. It's still,
No,
H
come,
shape.
wait, hold on. I'm going to back you up. Those
Yeah,
are
no,
circles, Paula. Let's
no,
start
no,
with the
those are straight lines.
bullseye.
There's people are going to have to go can go to my lecture that'll
Okay,
open Creative
okay.
Sparks on November 18th, and I'll show a real close up of it, and you can see it's
Wow.
also all that silver fabric, that gold. That's fabric I purchased when I was teaching in Japan on my very first trip, an obi fabric. But you have, what I was saying is that each of those circles is different. The ironmonger himself, so it's an homage. He played with that. He was an artisan, and each of those different circles as they move around is slightly different. And so I played with that also and made each
I
one different.
love
And
that
what's
quilt.
different,
I
thank
love
you.
that quilt. I mean, I love your other quilts, but
And
that
once
one,
again, that is an older quilt. And so, that, I'm proud of that. The awareness that, my older quilts have legs. I mean, they've got the gravitas. It's not, typically you love your newest babies, but I'm very proud to,
well,
that you say
they've
them
stood
over
the
the years.
test of time. I mean, that's the bottom line. Okay, okay, here's the story.
Here's the
And
story.
first of all, thank you for being willing to share this.
Oh, I love to share her. She's a her. She's not an it anymore. This is She is a radiation mask, my own radiation mask. So done in 2000. I had radiation in, I guess, 2010, and the quilt was done 5 years later. Not the quilt. I
The
consider her.
bust.
I do consider her a quilt. She's in the kaleidoscopic series, and herself a radiation mask. And the idea is, when you have to have radiation to your head and neck, they take a pliable material, make it very, very hot, very tight, and they create just for your shape, so that with bolts at the end, and that bolts you to the table. And two things, they're able to, instead of having to put a tattoo onto you or mark your face or wherever where they're going to send the radiation, they are able to mark the mask. And plus, you cannot move during, however the duration, 10 minutes, whatever the duration is, you can't move. And so I did nothing with it right away. I just thought all those makers and quilters voices were in my head going, take it, you'll make something pretty from it. It was like,
Look
oh
at that.
please. I
That's a
just want to drive a car over it. And then I took my kaleidoscope fabrics, spent about a year beating them, embellishing them. I did had no idea how I was going to attach them because I made those, and as I made them, I put them on ultra suede because that gave it a little body. And then
uh-huh.
on the back of the ultra suede, I'm not a sculptor, I'm not a gluer. I knew nothing about those kinds of things, and I found that I could use a two-sided paper, that had fuse on both sides. I pulled it off so one side went onto the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
mask,
yeah,
one
yeah, fusible.
a fusible paper actually, and that's what I
Okay.
attached, and then just kept building on top. And she's been in good shape. She's actually going to show at my exhibit that opens next week at the International Quilt Museum in Nebraska. And if you can see up close, everybody, um, at the in the back top right, there is a yellowy um, grid, a yellow, pale yellow grid, not really yellow, pale white. Yeah, that was the original material. That was the whole material that the whole thing was made from originally. Not a very attractive piece.
But then
Never.
this is what you did to it before you put all the stuff on it.
Yes, and actually, a very good friend of mine, Catherine Nauer, who sometimes helps me do things. I couldn't touch her. I couldn't look at it. It was still an it to me at the time until Catherine came over and helped me cover it up with some Metallica fabric of mine, of a collection of mine, and that was my beginning to look at it as more of an object. And yes, the idea that you take this gentle beading and something that an embroidery, something I'm familiar with, and it heals me, and turn it into something that I feel very
That
comfortable
was
with.
that was really traumatic. I mean, that was really traumatic.
Oh,
Yeah.
the first couple of years I showed that, I couldn't talk about it without tears coming in my eyes. But I know there's somebody who's listening to you has had a loved one, has to go through it, and you just
Yeah. Yeah.
you do.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for showing it.
So, here's your new quilt
She
that I
usually lives
that
with us in the living room. She's usually living with us.
okay, that's my drum roll coming right here.
Oh yeah.
Your new quilt.
Thank you. So this is Kaleidoscopic 45 Omani arches. Um, I taught in Dubai with Sue Nichols and Nancy Prince one year, and we took a little side trip to Oman. That was phenomenal. And here, after 3 years of being home and barely traveling at all in the pandemic, to say I was in Oman, I was in Muscat, Oman, sort of. I still can't believe it. But anyway, this we were in a incredible mosque, and outside the mosque in 100-degree temperature, there were rows of these beautiful arches that they weren't all facing the same direction. Each one was done by a different artist. You could tell, the hands of these made out of
Tile?
mosaic. It was all tile and mosaic, and they were absolutely exquisite. We took photos, and then here, many years later. So this was a quilt that I just finished in August, and each one. So
Were
and
they
what I
like
also
doorways or like were they portals or something?
know they were, I guess they were prayer niches,
Okay.
and but they weren't facing a certain direction. And one of the things that was interesting to me was that in the mosque and in these arches, there were this striped motif that over and over and over again that is very unique to me. I don't do that kind of straight line, and in
Right.
fact, probably the hardest thing I ever did was to make those straight lines straight. And then actually, I had to totally redo that quilt. I took it with me last August to exhibit only the quilt top in Germany, and the lines that go down, the lattice down and across in the middle, was much more white than gray, and I didn't like it. I mean, there I had finished the quilt. I had a quilt top. I couldn't wait to see it, and I didn't like it. And I always say, if you don't like it now, you're not going to like it when it's
Not gonna
finished.
get
And
better.
it's not going to get better. And so, in the last 3 weeks before I had to send it off to the museum in Lincoln, Nebraska, I ripped it apart and redid that. Redid the so that all of them is now a soft gray, one of my newer fabrics.
Okay,
And
Missy. So look at this.
I'm real proud of this. It's a 2023 Kaleidoscope Quilts calendar that you can get on the CNT website, or you can Google get it elsewhere. It's 12 of the months of the year, and all the quilts you saw actually are in this. And it really, when we first talked about it, I thought, who uses a calendar? Like who,
I
who wants it?
do.
what everybody does.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
scrap
But look at this.
calendars.
You alluded to this next image. This is like super cool.
Yes, I'm doing my first lecture for CNT on their Creative Sparks website. That's going to go live on the 18th, and I'll be talking about the stories behind those quilts and leading up to those quilts, and showing details of all those quilts. So I hope you'll join me for that.
Yeah. You remember when you had coasters? Remember you had coasters like to put your
I had
drink
note
on the
cards.
table? Remember those? Or was it
No,
stationary?
I had note cards. I had an umbrella. I
I
had
gave
some
my
things.
parents, I thought I gave my parents the coasters, but maybe it was the
No,
note
they were
cards.
round. They were
Yeah,
note
yeah,
cards.
yeah,
They were round.
yeah.
They could have been good coasters. You're right. We could have laminated them. That would have been good.
So
And I
here's,
had wrapping paper.
yep.
Oh, and here is my just my newest collection for Benatex called Needle Stars, which is an homage to my last name because Nadel is needle and Stern is stars. And
Oh,
so when I teach in Germany, those lovely creative quilters come up to me and say, "Did you make up your last name?" Because they hear me say, "Hey, my name is Paula Nadelstern." Here is the
beautiful.
thank you. So we're back to doing silkscreen. I love the hand of the fabric. The black is really black again, and the detail is beautiful. This is Byzantium in two colorways. So
Here's some more little ones.
yeah, I've been playing a lot with marbled fabrics, and this time the marbled fabric. That's a collection called Poured Color, the marbled fabrics.
Hey,
But this time,
when is the stuff that's being shown right now at Houston, when does it all come out?
well, this will be in stores in February.
Okay,
This will
look at
be
this.
Yeah, so these and you can go on my website, paulanadelstern.com, and there's the directions for how to make those ornaments. And also, Benatex is taking those poured colors, the marbled fabric, and they're doing it in 108-inch wide backing fabric. So that
Now,
could be coming out very soon.
is that fabric that I just showed here? Let me go back. Is this for like how you did those ornaments that you taught on
Yeah.
TQS?
Yes, yes, that's exactly what it's for, and for many things. But yes, and that those directions are on my website. They just call them opulent ornaments, and you can just print that out. It's so much fun to do that.
Okay, so here's what you've been talking about. This,
Yep,
by the
having it
way,
ready for next week.
congratulations. I mean, good grief. Really.
Yeah, I'm really honored. And so I'll have 9 quilts at the International Quilt Museum from November through, oh, actually, I made a typo there. It's November through April
Oh,
9th. Yep.
well, they
And
extended it because of the popularity.
yes, and this is but hopefully, and it's interesting because rather than focusing in the title on the Kaleidoscope collection, we're calling it Paula Nadelstern. I am a patternista because it is, promoting the fact that I'm using yes commercial fabric, like many traditional quilters, but like an art quilter, I'm just using them in unusual ways, and I just love pattern.
Now, last but not least, you guys, I mean, we've just scratched the surface with Paula. This is her website. It's what, paulanadelstern.com or whatever.
That's it,
Yeah.
paulanadelstern.com. I'm so creative. Yes.
There's a whole lot of stuff there that you can learn about her. But I would say, number one, think about the Creative Sparks class that you're going to be doing with C&T. Or is it a lecture or a class?
Lecture.
Lecture.
It's a
Okay.
lecture. Hard for
Okay.
me to do class because the work is so online because the
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the other is, of course, if you're near Lincoln, you'd be crazy to not, jump in. That place is, have you been there before, Paula?
Years, many years ago, I taught a group of Japanese there, but really
Yeah,
going back
it's beautiful.
2009, 2008. Yeah, it's a beautiful. They do the beautiful museum.
Well, friend, thank you so much. We've had some adventures.
Yeah, we have around the world. Yes.
You take care, and I
You
hope to
too.
see you
Thank
soon,
you.
okay?
My pleasure.
Thank
Hi
you.
to John and everyone. Thank you. Bye.
I just love her. Her work is amazing. It blows my mind. And the fact that she doesn't have a math background is even more astonishing if you want to get down to it. So to recap, the Creative Spark, that's a C&T thing, that is November 18th, that lecture. Also, she's been on TQS 2 times, show 2010 and show 508. One of the things that we alluded to here was she made like these styrofoam balls with those cut out round images and then put tons of sequins and all that kind of stuff. Also on her website, if you're going to New York City, She has a walking map of the garment district there. So she took me there. We went there, was it for the red and white or whatever? We hung out in the pouring rain. I don't think it was a red and white. She took us through New York. And it was so funny because we walked. And when it was over, she goes, "You are a New Yorker." And I remember when I met her, was back at Road to California 100 years ago. And Carolyn Reese made all the teachers come into a meeting. I was in the back room, and here this little New York girl just slides in right next to me. And I said something probably completely inappropriate to her, and she responded beautifully, and I knew I had a friend for life. So, anyways, okay. And Lori, I love her white hair too. She was actually saying, "My hair looks terrible. I got to get it cut today," or whatever. No, it's beautiful. She is so beautiful inside and out. And one other thing that I want to note, she lives in a two-bedroom apartment in New York City and with her husband, and she creates these masterpieces there. Yeah. So let me tell you what is going on. It is renewal time. Let me see. Let me get up here. It is renewal time at TQS. It's that time of the year. And when you renew, right now, we for people in the United States, you'll be getting a little note where we need your snail mail address. And you know how much I love this self erase marker, how much I love, 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 love it, because you can erase it with this end. It goes away 24, 72 hours. But the most important thing is that you can iron it and it will not permanently set. So you're going to get this as a gift from us in the United States. Hold on, people outside. We got something for you too. And also, I really want to get your hands on my 80 weight. This is it's a poly. It's very, very strong. It's Quilters Select 80 weight. It is fabulous for your bobbin. You put it's so fine. I used to use 60 weight bottom line, and now I've shifted to this 80 weight. And if you have an extra big bobbin or whatever, holy smokes, it will fill it, fill it, fill it. So you get that when you join right now. If you are out of the country, the shipping is just becomes impossible. We secured this pattern, Blooms for Julie, that Jam McGee did many, many years for us, and you will get that as a PDF download, okay? So, but then the other thing is that if you join now before the end of the year, you're going to get 2 BOMs. We're wrapping it up right now with Irene Blank, and this pattern is for free. And mind you, make sure you have this all downloaded by the end of the year, and or you will lose it and or print it out or whatever. But you'll also get next year's BOM for free. I will tell you now, if I haven't said already, the designer is Irene Blank from Down Under. And Friday, we were supposed to do Amy Pabst. I'm going to do her Monday. But Friday, we're going to do the big reveal of the BOM 2023 TQS by Irene Blank. And I also did a video with her. She is absolutely lovely. And her jam is Block of the Months, okay? So I want to make sure I have everything here. Um, the name of the quilt for next year, I'll give you this much too, is called Homeward Bound. And the fabrics are by Tula Pink, the majority, with some Kaffe snuck in. We will start taking orders on Friday for kits. We will not be shipping until the beginning of December, like December 5th. Don't freak out if you don't get it the 6th. We're going to have a ton of orders, and at that point, it's going to be shipping out. Also, don't forget our warehouse sale is no, not tomorrow, a week from Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Livermore. And you can go to the quiltshow.com website. And what did I do wrong?
You confuse people. Irene Blank is this year's.
Oh,
Sarah Phillips.
oh my God, I'm screwed up. Irene Blanks is this year. Came out of my wrong. Sarah Filkey's is next year. I said it wrong, didn't I?
It was
I was confused. Okay, sorry. Well, what you hang out with me, that's what you get. Sarah Felke's next year. That's who my interview's with. Um, so, oh yeah, warehouse sale. If you go to the front of the site, thequiltshow.com, there's a banner on top. Click there. We have it in 5 minute increments, which is very confusing. You don't just have 5 minutes there, but it's so that we can regulate the amount of people in the warehouse. As I've mentioned, it's a very small warehouse. What am I doing wrong?
It's an in-person warehouse.
In-person warehouse sale. In person. Northern California, Livermore, in person. And we have it in 5 minute increments, of which you will sign up. And it's just so that, as I said, we've got one butt aisles there. We can't have 25 people in the place at one shot, but you'll have plenty of time to shop. Plenty, plenty, plenty. Okay, people. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, Sarah Filkey. I'm sorry, you guys. I confused you. Won't be the first, won't be the last. I'm just, did I make my shirt? No, I did not. Yeah, see, a lot of you have the thread. Now, if you renewed a few weeks ago, you got a discounted price. So that's what you got then. Anyways, love this stuff. Appreciate. We will be doing Sarah Filkey on Friday. And then on Monday, we're going to do Amy Pabst. And you guys are going to flip out when you see what Amy is doing. You're going to lose your mind. If you were at Houston this round, she had a special exhibit. And she's just, everything about her is wonderful too. So we're getting in the threads for the embroidery. We're still waiting for the panels. I couldn't stand it. I had to take this one home, and now I'm starting on a second one. I can't get enough of this stuff. So we're waiting on that too. All right. Okay, guys, have a great rest of day. The warehouse sale is not online. It's in person. However, we are going to have Black Friday stuff too. So if you're not in the area, don't freak out. You'll have a shot at stuff too. Okay. All right, guys, have a good one. And I'll see you Friday with the BOM. Oh! And one of you was out there sharing at Houston on your cell phone, and I know who, and I'm okay with it.